Not so very, very long ago, there was a farmer. He was a very successful farmer, and he had amassed a great deal of wealth. He had two sons. The elder son was very industrious, hard worker, nose to the grindstone, push, push, push kind of a guy. And his younger son was, shall we say, more of a playboy. Now, they each had significant sections of the farm that they were responsible for, and they both did a great job. They both contributed to the overall success of the farm. But one day, the younger son approached the farmer and he said, "Hey, Pops, you know, it occurs to me, nobody gets out of this life alive. Someday you're going to go on to your reward, and we all know that when that time comes, that the farm's going to get split in two, and my brother and I are each going to give half. What would you say to giving me my half now?" Farmer thought about it for a little bit, and well, I guess that'd be okay. Meanwhile, the older brother's sitting there, and he's kind of fuming. He says, "You expect me to sit here and, continue to take care of everything all the time while, he's doing something else?" And that kind of festered within him. Well, sure enough, the younger son, the playboy, he got his big chunk of money, and wow, off he went. Woo-hoo! And man, he spent it. He spent it on wine, expensive wine, and women, and dinners, and and then he wasted the rest. And then it was all gone. And he'd have to take a job. And so he applied for jobs, but he really wasn't qualified for anything. There weren't that many positions open for farm manager. The only thing he had any experience in. And so he ended up having to drop his sights further and further and further. Now, in the religion that these people had, one of the foulest things was a pig. Pigs were looked at as filthy animals. And he ended up, the only job he could get was cleaning out the pig pens and slopping the pigs. And it was so hard on him for so long. He was just consumed, and he knew that he wasn't going to make it long, and he could only dream of getting out of the pig pen. Well, he finally decided that he was going to have to go back to his father and beg for some kind of a job. Maybe he could get appointed as a shepherd, or maybe he could get in one of the other lower positions. And so he decided to go back. And he walked all the way back, and as he approached the farm, he started coming down the long driveway. The other brother was out in the field, and he saw him coming, and the dad looked up and he saw him coming down this long driveway, and Dad was just elated. "My son has returned. This is awesome. This is wonderful. Let's throw a giant party. This is going to be great. We're going to have this huge barbecue, and we're going to invite the whole town and welcome my son back." And meanwhile, the son that stayed and had been doing all the work was thinking, What's wrong with me? Am I chopped liver? What's the deal here? I've been here all this time. I don't even get a decent birthday cake, and he's getting this giant party. This isn't fair. This isn't right. Well, welcome to the Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you all for coming out today. What a great and glorious day it is. It's getting lighter and lighter coming in. Boy, I came in this morning and it was pretty much light. It was a lot better than it has been being And Happy New Year to everyone. Chinese New Year, the year of the rabbit. We left the year of the tiger, and now we're in the year of the rabbit. I think that signifies prosperity and abundance. And what a great thing that is. And wisdom and fertility and all kinds of things. So Happy New Year. Thank you for attending today, whether it be on, we don't know how we're going to do this. We've got connection issues between Facebook and YouTube. So however you're watching, thank you for watching today. Our theme for this month is back to basics. And in the first week, we talked about God. What is God? What is the infinite creative force? And we decided that God was both immanent and transcendent, that is both greater than we are, and yet it is within us. And we decided that our relationship to that divine creative force is all a very personal thing, and it's a very individual thing, and we honor everyone for whatever you believe and how you're connected to your higher power. In the second week, we talked about that we are one with that power, and we are one with one another. We are deeply connected. In week 3 last week, we talked about the divine creative process, and we talked about seed, soil, plant, and we talked about how our thoughts become our reality. What we think and feel and believe is manifested as our lives. Today, the title of my talk is Thank You or Thanksgiving. I see it's been listed as both. 3 major points today. First, I'm going to talk about gratitude. Then second point is everything counts. And thirdly, our life is the ultimate gift. So first of all, gratitude. What is gratitude and why can it be difficult to express? First of all, what is gratitude? Gratitude is a practice that's based on principles. Everything we've done through this month up to now, we have been talking about principles. We've been talking about mental activity, thinking, believing, all very cranial mental things. Today we're going to move into a practice. This is something that you actually do. It's the practice of giving thanks. And the basis of this is, if nothing else you remember for the rest of the day, remember this. It's impossible for you to focus on what you don't want when you're giving thanks for what you have. And we accept this principle that our lives are the outpicturing of our thoughts and beliefs. Oh my goodness, we're changing our thoughts and we're changing our lives. And gratitude is one important key and way to do it. If gratitude enables us to make this change. This is from the Art and Science of Spiritual Mind Treatment, or Affirmative Prayer, the Teacher's Guide. This is the quote. Gratitude comes with knowing the process of setting a new cause in motion and the creative process operating on it, even before the manifestation has occurred. This is being in a state of gratitude because we have placed our order and the universe is whipping it up for us and will absolutely, without question, deliver it to our table. And finally, what is gratitude? It's the 4th step of affirmative prayer. So why is gratitude difficult to express? Well, sometimes we may not feel deserving. Ooh, I don't deserve to be thanked for that. That was such a little tiny thing. Or we can be uncomfortable with someone else's generosity. Somebody steps in and does something for us or gives us something, and we are uncomfortable with their generosity. Or conversely, we may feel that we deserve more. I was expecting a promotion, not just a thank you from the boss. And then there are other negative behaviors that we might have. Complaining, fault finding, or taking things for granted. That's a biggie. Taking things for granted, just assuming that it's going to be that way. And there's a fine line between taking things for granted and expectancy. I fully expect this to happen, as opposed to, of course. So point number 2, everything counts. Over the holidays, I had a meeting. It was a luncheon meeting. I arrived early. I was seated at the table waiting, and I couldn't help but hear the conversation of the table behind me. And one lady commented to the other lady, "Oh, that's a beautiful sweater. Oh, it's really beautiful." And the lady with the sweater said, "Oh, I got this at Value Village for $7. Now, I don't know if maybe they were the bargain hunters club or something, and this was their way of communicating. I don't know. But what I felt, boy, I was dying to turn around and see that sweater, but it was behind me. But I think all that one wanted to hear was, "Oh, thank you." But she never got it. She found out how much she paid for it. So everything counts. Every little thank you counts. Why do we express gratitude for something that hasn't manifested yet? It's because we have faith that it's on its way. And this is a faith that is deep, is profound, and it solidifies our consciousness. It is that very act of giving thanks and having faith that it's going to come around that shifts that creative force to what we want away from what it is that we don't want. We set worry aside and we accept what is on its way. Last week on Wednesday, I was headed to the gym to meet with my trainer, getting ready for the Camino here in a few months. And I was late getting out of my house. I need to leave my house by 2:13 at the latest.
To the minute.
Mr. Fleming said something like that. But it is. That's the way I am. 2:13 at the latest. I prefer to leave at 2:12, but this is like 2:15. And without speeding, I had on the Seward Highway, and I'm coming north, and I'm getting off at O'Malley, and I caught that light at O'Malley and the Seward Highway. That is the longest light, I swear. Yeah, it's terrible. And when you're in that situation, you know you're late, your things are behind, and it never changes. It's like, oh, finally the light changes underneath the highway. Damn, the light on the other side is red. Wait, the light at the old Seward is red. Finally get on, O'Malley and going around the big curve in there, and I get behind a school bus, and the most law-abiding citizen you could imagine slowly go all the way around, get the light at Raspberry, everything to do. And then I got on Arctic right in front of Bob's place there, get behind a city bus, and we have to stop at 3 railroad tracks. And each one of those, the tension level was going up in me. And finally pulled into my trainer. I looked down. I was only 2 minutes late. And it dawned on me, I don't know what all conspired to make me so late today, but whatever it is, I'm giving thanks. Because maybe I would have been on the wrong side of those railroad tracks. Maybe I would have ended up flattened. Maybe who knows what could have happened. But whatever it was, I am thankful for this day. So Friday comes, my next meeting. I looked down, oh man, I was leaving the house like at 2:08. Oh, I was in great shape. And I hit that light at O'Malley, green, straight on through, didn't even slow down. The light on the other side, green. The light at the old Seward, green. All the way around. I set my speed at 60 and around the corner I went, all the way, hit every light right, walked in, and I made it there in 12 minutes. I have never done that before. I had a 13 once, but I never made it in 12. And all I could think of was giving thanks. What a great, wonderful thing it is. Thank you, God, and so it is. Eric Butterworth, great author in spiritual economics. Our gratitude makes no difference to God, source. The difference it makes is to ourselves and to our experience of the world. A grateful heart does not need something to be grateful for. One can be grateful with the same spontaneity as being happy. It simply flows from within and becomes a causative energy. When we can do the gratitude at that point, it's just like being happy. It's just there. Now, I'm sure that most of you realized the opening story today was simply the story of the prodigal son, sort of modernized a little bit. And I found this quote from Ernest Holmes, and he's talking about the story of the prodigal son. The elder son had missed the mark as well as the younger, for he had been living in the midst of plenty and had not recognized it. He needed but to have asked, and he would have received all that the Father had. That's just like us. Sometimes we get caught up in all the effects and we forget to be grateful for the wonderful things that we have. And when we can shift that attention, we can shift our creation. Third point, our life is the ultimate gift. We are all here, every single one of us, by divine appointment. Every one of us has something to contribute to this world. Every one of us. We would not be here if there wasn't a reason for us to be here and for that infinite creative force to express itself through us. Ernest Holmes says, our life is the ultimate gift. We are here by divine appointment. When we know this to be true, then we have already received. This is the meaning behind the statement in the Bible, to him who hath shall be given. As Holmes says, unless one conceives of himself as possessing good things, he will not possess them. For the objective world of such one, even that which he has will be taken away. Mixing up his parables, but the point is that what we focus on is what we're going to get back. And finally, Ernest Holmes, 365, Science of Mind. There is something in this attitude of thanksgiving that carries us beyond the field of doubt into one of perfect faith and acceptance, receptivity, realization. Conclusion, what I want you to take away today. Gratitude offers many lessons for us that we can apply to our lives. We can approach life with a grateful heart, thanking the stars and heavens for our existence. In his essay, Compensation, Ralph Waldo Emerson says, beware of too much good staying in your hand. We can ensure this by practicing circulation, a way and means of giving from our overflow. And finally, we can give thanks in advance, knowing with full belief that the good of God is with us each and every day. And so it is with this realization of the good of God that is with and within each and every one of us, that invite the practitioners, all of us, to join with me in simply recognizing that there is indeed a power in the universe, and it is for us. It is expressing itself through us, as us, and it is for us. It is here to help us. It is here to guide us. And as we go through this thing called life and we experience all of these effects, we can simply know that there is something that is greater, that is behind us, that is here to help us. So as we face things such as disease, we can know that in spite of the very real disease, that there is an intelligence and a power that is within us. And it can help us through every situation. As we go through periods of lack and limitation, feeling that there is not enough, we can simply know that we live in an abundant universe. And that universe is there for us. It is at our disposal. And we open ourselves up to receiving it. And for those times when we feel separate, when we feel apart from one another and apart from our infinite force, apart from our higher power, we can just simply know that that infinite force, infinite higher power is within each and every one of us. And as we experience things that look like the appearances of an ungodly situation, wars, pain, we can simply know that that infinite force is within each and every one of us, including those that we don't like. And it gives us an opportunity to go within and to love ourselves in order that we may love others. So we just give thanks. We give thanks for the deep, profound abundance within our lives. We give thanks for the bounty that is at our doorstep. We give thanks for the love. And now we can just step back and let that infinite creative force create. We let it go, we let it be, and so it is. Amen. Namaste.